Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Oh, good. We'll just loosen up a little bit. Let's find it up and down. Okay. Good. Bring your strength into the arms, just letting that swing down. And across the chest. And rotation, finding the shoulder. And hips. Shake the legs, legs a little bit wider, a little bit up and down. And so back into the center. This guy's just play with bringing the feet together. Play a little bit open and close. Just think about really, when you close, really just going to squeeze the legs together. Let the toes come in. And then as you open up, think about pressing the heels together. Open up, so kind of narrow. Open, close movement. Mobilizing the whole leg to close and open. And we're doing a similar action with the shoulder, elbow, hands. Good. Set the feet a little bit wider and just play with a little bit more of a flexible movement. Good. Bringing the arms to raise up, roll down, reaching up, rolling down. Great. Coming up to the center, spread the arms out wide as you can, pushing the hands out through the walls, and just rolling through the shoulders, open and close them. Good. And then think about open up a little bit wider to the back, and then narrow, close into the front, bring the palms, back of the hands together, sorry, at the front. Ooh, good. And just rolling up the hips. And the other way. Bring the feet together, circling. And change. Dig legs a little bit wider, circle one way. And change. Lengthen back, pull the toes up a little bit. And from there, just playing with rolling the feet side to side. Outside edge, inside edge. Good. Just set the feet in that position. Have a little bit of an in-turn with the feet. Just play with, in this case, just pull the toes up. Really press the ball of the foot down first. Press strongly into the base of the big toe. And then think about spreading into the side edge of the little toe. And then just think about setting the weight back. So you're going to lock the knees a little bit, let the weight go into the heel. Keep all the pressure in those 2 points at the front. And then just play with a little bit of a hinge back. Sticking the hips back. Keep the pressure there, keep the toes lifted if you can. And just create a nice chain of movement as the hips go, the knees release, weight stays nice and solid in the feet. Good. Great. And then just going to come out wide with the arms, so hold that back position. Let the toes come down into the ground. Take a nice deep breath in. Widening the shoulders. Bring the hands just up onto the clavicle, just on the thumbs on the shoulders. And then think about a hinge down, just from the hip and pulling back up. You're going to stay in that slightly inclined position and don't go all the way down. So you don't want to go all the way to 90 degrees. Just hinge down, come back. Hinge down, come back. Again, just listen to the knees, listen to the hips. Knees stay behind the heels. Stay back. Just all that mobility in the hip. And hold that hinge position, reach the arms out. Press the fingertips together. Create a little bit of a squeeze out with the legs, a little bit like a pressing the ground apart. Squeeze the fingertips together. Let hips go back a little bit more. Take a nice deep breath in. Spread around the shoulders, the rib cage. Take the breath out. As you breathe in, next reach the hands up, keep the hips back. Reach up as high as you can. Spread the hands apart. Keep the hips back. Reach up a little bit higher. Let the thumbs turn down. Hinge all the way down. Keep the hips back. Let the hands find the ground. And let the upper spine gently roll, release. Take a little bit of length out of the knee, a little bit more length out of it. Pull the hips up a little bit. Walk hands forward a little bit more. Keeping the hips where they are, pressing strongly into the shin bone. Pull the back as long as you can. The arms are straight, really strongly, but press into the shin bone. Take a nice deep breath in. Next, in breath, pull the body up tall, 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 tall. Just stopping at the knee, just above the knee with the hand. Stay in that supple hinge. Spread the arms back one more time. Bring the arms up to the chest. 10 more. We'll go hinge down, pull back up, hinge down, pull back up. Keep it nice and slow. Tension all the way. Spread the ground apart with the legs. Last position, hinge. Reach the hands out, hold it 10 seconds, couple of deep breaths. Squeeze the fingertips together, squeeze the ground apart. Squeeze the ground together, squeeze the ground together. Squeeze the hands together. And start to slowly just pull back into the center, bring the hips back to neutral. Shake out what hurts and move a little bit. Okay, good. We'll do some easy stuff, okay? Go into a lunge. In this case, again, start from a standing position. Just reach one leg back, so you go into a little bit of a wide lunge. Just nice and easy one in this case. Swinging through, reaching through, pulling back. Reaching through, pulling back. Just checking that front foot's nice and stable. Again, if you also want to check that position of the front foot that's really kind of fixed in those 3 points, just pull the toes up gently. And reach into it and feel where the weight is kind of being distributed. Try and make the feeling even, or the weight even across the foot, across those 3 points. A wide foot, back foot, just 2 points of contact. Good. Switching the leg, press the feet together, send one leg back, 3 points of contact front, 2 points in the back. Reach out through the front hip. Good. Good. Great. Come to a wide position with the feet. A little bit more of an outturn with the feet in this case, and just play with a very slow hinge and a squat down now. So start with the hinge. In the case of the hips, are going to start to go back, and then think about down, sinking down. Let the knees stay in this direction. Try and avoid them pushing forward. Come down, press the fingertips together, and then think about as you come up. It's basically back and up to pull the hips up. So you've got that full range of tension all the time. Back and down. Reach out and then back and up. So all the time, if you imagine someone kind of pressing the knees so that they can't travel forward, you're back and down, hold the position gently, and then back and up. Your full range. What's back up? That's it. Good. That's pretty nice. Okay, good. And then you're going to go into the squat. Just float the hands up off the ground and then just get a little bit deeper into it. So the hand, that sphere's just floating off the ground. If you were to open the fingers, you would just be kind of brushing the ground with that position. So it's quite low. The position, feel the feet nice and firm. Keep one hand down, reach one hand up. Reach high as you can. Keep the other arm extending. Pull it back. Go to the side. Just do two on each side. Pull it back. Reach up and away. Reach up and away the other side. Good. And then we're going to take this into a surf squat. So you're going to find the sternum on one side, like the thumb goes into the center line of the body. The other hand, in this case, goes across the leg and just pushes into the outside of the knee. The hand that's on the sternum, you're going to follow the fingers and you're going to look in that direction. At the same time, you're pushing the knee away, you're pushing the knee in towards the hand, and you're going to a rotation to the outside. Let's take a couple of deep breaths here, get low, strong. And you come back to neutral, switch the arms around, find the sternum, find the knee, press into it, look the way of the fingers, and press into the chest. Settle into a couple of deep breaths. Keep the pressure on the knee, pressure in on the hand. Pull back to center, just find that position, and just brushing the ground with the fingertips, all the weights in the feet. Reach, press into the shin bone, pull the back as long as you can, like you're trying to pull the throat and the face away from the ground. And then from there, take a nice deep breath in as you pull the body all the way up. All the way up to neutral. Great, and shake hands now. Great, good. We'll just do one more, just an opening in this case. So, shorter lunge than before, so just step forward into this one. Generally get a little bit of a shorter movement. In this case, make press the fingertips together at the front. Think about as straight as you can through the spine. Nice and long, vertical. Take a nice deep breath. You're going to bring the hands up just off the line of the forehead here. Reach them up. Take a breath. You're going to take it very gently to one side, away from the back leg. Take a breath. And then take it very gently to a spiral. Hold you there, take a couple of big deep breaths. Next out breath, release. Back to center. Switch out the leg. And again, find a nice vertical position, squeeze the fingertips together. Take a breath in, reach up, just off the line of the forehead. Make yourself as tall as possible. And then next one, gently out to the side, away from the back leg. And then take into a spiral. And again, take a couple of big deep breaths here. Great position for the breath work. And next out breath, release the arms back down. Shake out the hands a little bit. Shake out the arms. Shake out the legs. Shake out the whole body. Okay, we'll just do one breath work, which is a circular pattern. Focus much more on the abdominals now. So what you want to do is breathe in through the center line. We'll go straight away into a kind of circular breath, circular pattern with the hands. And then as you pass across, let the breath just come back down to the core. Hands come up through the center line. Palms spread up, spread them away. First, you just start as big as you can with the movement. So if you think about as deep a breath as you can. In this case, not really going into the lungs, more really focusing on, not into the rib cage, sorry, you go into the lungs, obviously, but focus on the belly breathing, basically, in this case. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, nice and big. Just follow your own breath in this case. Keep going with it. In this case, especially when you raise the arms, think about, again, the center's just kind of low into the ground. So try and feel the center of gravity, the feeling in the body never really lifts. It just sinks, stays constantly draining down. And then just gradually each time, just make it a little bit smaller. So you're just going to work towards a very small, well, actually like a big, what would that be? Like a grapefruit kind of size. Yeah, that kind of size, or like a basketball size. Just every time, just make it a little bit denser in terms of movement. You breathe in. Circular through the center. Outside the edges of the circle. Keep it slow, keep the hands following the breath work. And just go smaller, smaller, smaller. Good. Good. And just this stage, you get a really small ball in front of the body. And bring the hands together. I'm just going to kind of clasp them together. Can just play with one move, which is that ball feeling in the body. Just play with a rounding motion. Okay, so I'll show it badly, but what you want is the arm to start to travel like this. But think about just circulating from it. So if the arms are loose, you've got a kind of dense quality in the abdomen, the belly, and just further kind of rolling movement. And then play with taking it both ways. You can switch the hands if you want, you can keep the hands as they are. So start with a kind of circle, a kind of cycle of the hands. Especially when you switch direction with the hands. And then just go to one which is just the underside of the arm, of the movement. And just focusing on the switch. And you want to avoid going from the hand, just connect the arms to the body. You've got a kind of dense feeling here. Sway it. Good. And then play with a more of a figure of eight motion, so you're going to release the hips a little bit more. And try and avoid the arms onto the 𝘵𝗫𝗏. So feel into the rotation. They're coming from this area. Like a dense, packed spiral on the core. Good. Then keep that feeling, release the hands, and just start to go bigger with the hands. So you start to just cycle the hands over. Cycle the hands over. Keep that infinity shape going, and just start to let the hands become bigger, the space in between them bigger, 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 and just kind of tracking to the center line. Just kind of rolling over. Keep work, maybe it's a little bit bigger, but keep that kind of density in the body. Good. And then the tricky bit, think about kind of reaching out a little bit with it, a little bit like a kind of front crawl. And the last one's a bit tricky. Just place one hand at the center in this case, and just play with a really narrow figure of eight pattern with the arm. And very easy for the arm to want to do it. And the other thing is the body going out, kind of like something like this. So think about really taking this into like a dense figure of eight. You can do this slow, you can do this fast. Keep that hand on the center just to feel center's kind of stable, but obviously mobile as well. Sounds paradoxical. It is. And play with going the other way with it. So you're describing now the reverse path. Out and away. And go to the other side, hand on the center, rolling this way. Good. Roll the other way. Good. Now, just play with both hands doing it. So you can cycle both, you can cycle the same way, or you can cycle the same way back, or you can play with going the other way. One hand one way, one hand the other. Tricky movement. Just play with it a little bit with the arms and kind of roll. Think about one hand can do one thing, one hand can do the other thing. Oh, that one. And they can play with. So kind of moving together, moving separately. So nice. If you can start to lose it, just go back to one hand. Yeah, good. Nice. That's okay. Last one. This one's like you're in a shallow pool of, well, not so shallow, you're up to the chest in water, and you've got like a inflatable ball. Imagine you push it down and then you release the pressure and it kind of springs back up. So in this case, if you imagine kind of gently pressing down, and then you've got the pressure coming back into the body, kind of. Obviously, you don't want the pressure to go kind of back up to the top of the body. So think about kind of pressure down, and then as you release the pressure and it springs back up, just play with the ability to kind of move it. So start to play with the feet once you get this, but it's the feeling pressure down, pressure back up. And again, you're trying to get the core of the body really involved in it. So although it looks like a very gentle exercise, you feel a lot, if you do this, and say well, correctly, you feel a kind of very dense movement in the core, just from the feeling or the idea of something pushing back up into the body. And then once you've got it, play with moving with it. So if you imagine you've got the ball, you press it down, it springs back up, and you can also kind of move with it. And then press it down somewhere else, springs back up and move with it. And then you're basically combining the two exercises, the feeling of kind of rolling the ball and the feeling of pressure down with it, and it's springing back up. Okay, so these two kind of qualities. Kind of roll, pressure, release it, follow it, let it go somewhere else. Yeah, that's so nice. Good. That's very nice. Yeah, good. Okay, great. Grab a bokken. We'll do something similar for this. A similar kind of idea in this case. We'll just start with a kind of very basic grip. So in this case, like a kind of ikkyo grip. So if you imagine the kind of pressure down with it. Now do the same kind of exercise. It's a more straightforward exercise in this case, and you've also got kind of something to kind of work with. But think about, again, just apply pressure down, and then imagine there's a little bit of pressure up, okay? And in this case, you're not going to kind of stop it coming back up. You're just going to kind of let it come back up. Find another position, press, release, pressure, release, pressure, release, pressure, release. And the main things that feel that when the release happens, it doesn't go up to the top of there. And also doesn't kind of, you don't lose the ground with it. So think about a constant pressure in the feet. You shift it, move it, increase the pressure in the arms, release the pressure in the arms, increase, release, increase, release. Then you can start to get a kind of pulse through the body. So. That's good. Great. Good. And then even more basic, even simpler, you're going to just go into a sword grip. Think about the same kind of idea, a little bit of pressure down, and then release it, and then ride it somewhere else. So if you think about kind of moving the feet with this, pressure in, release. Again, the pressure in the feet, it kind of stays constant in this case. So there's obviously a shift of the weight, but in terms of feeling of pressure in the feet, it's the same. And I don't want to kind of lose the pressure in the feet and let it go up. So think about just keeping the weight down. You can also shift left and right with this one as well. Pressure in, release it. Pressure in, release it. Pressure in, release it. That's it. So the kind of simple position to feel this in is like 𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘭𝘪𝘐, like straight through the center line, the core, the hands, the sword, everything's aligned. It's very easy to feel that. Start to play a little bit more like 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘬 now. So if you start to go off this kind of position, or this kind of position, but I want to keep the core still engaging into it. So the danger with the 𝘭𝘪𝘢𝘵 works, the arms start to disengage from the core. You need to go into something like this. So think about, again, using this idea of pressure. 𝘭𝘪𝘢 is very easy to find. 𝘭𝘭𝘪𝘢 is a little bit different, a little bit trickier. The tendency is that the arms to either slip off the core for the core to disengage. So again, if you think about just in terms of pressure, pressure, release, pressure, release, pressure, release, pressure, release. That's it. Whoa. Good, good. And then the last position we use a lot with the sword, think about the ski. So if you think about, again, very easy to lose the pressure because the arms pull out, and then again, the arms separate from the core, and then the core splits away. So think about, again, pressure out, and think about pressure, like kind of filling an inflatable with it. Release it, take it somewhere else. And again, you can play left and right with this one. You can step through with it like we do with the 𝘧𝗪𝘏 work. But again, just think about kind of pressure builds, pressure releases, pressure builds, pressure releases. And again, try and avoid when it releases, everything kind of goes out. So think about keeping the body dense, heavy, rolling on the floor. That's it. That's it. Good. And then the last move from that, we don't explore in the 𝘧𝗪𝘏, but we explore later, is kind of slicing work. So quite tricky in terms of movement, in terms of this idea of pressure, because it needs to be constant, but you're working not just one direction. So if it's a real kind of slicing movement, you're really working multiple directions at the same time. So the easy one to work with, which is a little bit more linear, is obviously just a straight line across the body. This sort of like a horizontal thing. But yeah, it's very easy to lose if you're looking at pressure through the core. It's very easy to split off from the core, or do something like this. I just go like this, and I just do this. And in which case, there's no kind of build up of movement. So two things can happen. I can split the arms away and spread like before, or I can just lock it together. Look for one which is again kind of flexible, the feeling of again a kind of expression of expansion. And again, quite tricky to do with this one. So in this case, in the case of the slicing work, mix in the other directions, because it's a kind of mix of all of them in terms of like straight line work, a little bit 𝘭𝘭𝑪 work, a little bit ski work away from the body. And it's really a kind of combination of those directions kind of working together. So just play with, the easy one to play with is like horizontal slicing, but once you get it, you can start to play with slices really in any kind of plane of movement. Upper slices are harder. Going up with a slice is much more difficult than going across and going down in terms of connection work. But just play with it a little bit, so it's just explore. Very good. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay, good. Great. We'll run through the same set. 𝘱𝘁𝑒𝑚𝑎𝑛, 𝑦𝑜𝑘𝑢𝑚𝑒𝑛, slice. And we'll just do it with one hand. Play in this case with the focus. So when you do the first few, play with the 𝘱𝑗𝑒𝑚𝑎𝑛 because again it's the kind of clearest focus to look for. And I want the hand, the center, the sword to be the same. Play with kind of a light focus, but start to work with the raise because it's going to kind of contrast in with the cut. So play with just one hand, in this case the right hand, and just play with, again, moving. You've got that feeling of pressure, but feel that there's really a kind of finish to the cut now. So you can step with it, you can rotate with it, you can stay on the spot, switch to the left side. But feel there's a little bit more emphasis now on the focus of the cut, the finish, and you're trying to link now that kind of pressure from the core being pressed out into a strong grip as well, into a stronger feeling of a cutout. Okay, that's good. And then go to the left side. So in this case, you could do the left hand at the back end of the weapon, where we would normally have it. It's a little bit easier to work with on the where you would have the cut, where you would have the right hand on the sword. Just gives you a little bit more control over the weapon. Again, just play with a bit of rotation, a bit of stepping. Go slow. So obviously you don't have the same same capability of speed as when you've got two hands. Just play with it, but again, working with the finish. So the cut. That's it. Good. And then just mixing in between now right and left. Start to work with 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢, but again, very difficult, or actually it's not very difficult at all. Very easy to lose the core of the movement now. So if you think about going to 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢 now with one hand, very easy to slip. So also really make sure the grip's really in place. If I lose the grip, let's say going to this kind of grip, the tendency starts to go to the thumb, and to damage the hand in this case. So think about going into it and really we're in this kind of position. Go play also with again across the body. What you can also do if you think about the way we use this direction as well later, we use it obviously for cutting, but this kind of direction also is used later, like a kind of locking kind of pattern. So anything that's really working off the side of the body, but really needs to be attached to the core of the body. So if you think about blocking movements, and also if you think about finishing movements, mix in again left side, right side. But again, go slow with it. Focus on again a kind of finish to it and try and link again the feeling of pressure. And release. And the feeling of weight again in the body down all the time. Yeah, good. That's very nice. Very nice, good. Very good. Good. Perfect. And then go to a little bit of ski work as well. So again, if you think about it, very easy to lose the ski work. Think again about a little bit of pressure, but now a little bit more sense of a little bit of percussion now. But again, the grip now really important because if I go to the side of it, everything kind of twists out of the wrist. If I go to really too strong a grip at the top of the sword, everything's kind of just too restricted. So think about kind of streaming grip out the side of the cutting across the palm. And then just explore with it. Again, just start to mix in now. 𝘱𝘁𝑒𝑚𝑎𝑛, 𝘭𝘰𝘠𝑦𝘪𝑗𝑔𝑒𝑚. Keep different kind of patterns, but again, that pressure in from the core of the body, attaching to the limb, functioning through the sword. Wants to stay really engaged. And then mixing left hand, right hand. And then last piece, start to include the slicing work into it as well. So start to go into a little bit more movement now because it's just natural with the slicing work. We'll start to kind of open up the movements and just start to again, just play with engaging through the arm from the core. Again, thinking into the pressure, expansion. In this case, finish the movement each time. That's it. Mixing it left and right, including a little bit of slicing work. So. That's it. Good. Okay, we'll just look at one sequence of movements. It comes from the 𝘭𝘪𝘢𝗨, so partnered sword practice that we did. It's got a little bit of all these movements. It doesn't really have 𝘭𝘰𝘪𝘴, but we'll play with this. The first move is to go from the back leg. The front leg just sinks, and you just come into this movement here. So it's a little bit of a ski, but it turns into a slice later. So the idea is to create a percussive strike with this part of the weapon right into the solar plexus. So what I'm looking to do with here is just mobilize the whole body off the line and take the tip edge of the 𝘭𝘠𝘠𝗏, front third of the 𝘭𝘠𝘠 just into the front this way. So again, if you think in terms of pressure, this is very easy to lose the pressure in this and go like this out and basically fall forwards into it. So just play with that first movement. This leg just sinks, the body just presses through it and then expresses out this movement here. So it's really a kind of percussive blow with the top third of the 𝘭𝘠𝘠𝗏. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, good. Yeah, so there's kind of two dangers with this movement. The main nobody's doing this, so actually it generally comes up in partner practice, which is something like this, and then go into it. So there's a kind of and then do it. It's like baseball. There's like a and then do it. But in this case, in terms of sword work, you just want to basically just go straight into it. So it's a very efficient movement. It's just from here, and it's basically just I want the tip of the sword just to express the movement of the body this way. And there's no need, again, in terms of pressure, I'm hitting a very vulnerable target. I don't need a lot of, I don't actually need a lot of power. to exert or to have a functional move with this, but it's just the feeling I want the tip to just mobilize straight in this way. The danger of that pattern is that there's nothing really passed down through it. I just kind of move with the sword. Okay, so then there's nothing happens. Okay, so look for something which is, again, it's not this, it's not just there, it's something that's, yeah, there's a kind of flexibility to it. So it's got a quality through the joint system which is really kind of releasing. But again, you're releasing, but you're keeping the pressure in the core, and you're able to kind of snap out that connection. It's a very sharp, very functional movement. That's it. Good. Good. And then the next move works with the second leg dragging in. So this leg goes out for this. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw the sword up to the top of the head. And you do it by dragging this leg up with it. Can the feet come together at the same time? Get the feeling is like sitting in a high stool, like on a bar. So you're here, and then you go here into this position. And again, that pressure in the body stays kind of equal in the feet. You're loaded. And then from here, all I want you to think about is the left hip and the left foot. They're going to mobilize and drop you into a cut. In case it's going to be a 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢 just because of the angle. Okay, so in terms of move, it's going to be like 1, dragging up to the top, 2, and then the left hip in this case mobilizes the whole structure. Boom, and then you cut down into the body. This will either be for the head, or generally speaking for combat distance, is going to go right onto the forearm. It just cuts onto the hand of the forearm. So it goes 1 in, drag across it to the top, cut down the left side. Ooh, okay, good. Good. Okay, good. Last go. We'll make it to the head and stop it there, just for kind of variety as well. So you go for the stomach, draw up. You go for the wrists, and then the second one, the last one in this case, is for the right side, coming up, cutting for the head. Okay, so just finishing that position here, and we'll pause at that point. So you go like 1, belly, drag the sword through, cut for the forearm, the wrist, and then the last one coming through on the right side, cutting for the head, pausing there. 1, follow through, 2, follow through, 3. That way. Ooh. That's good. Good. Okay, good. Last week, do this, think about doing this as a kind of constant movement now. So again, think in terms of pressure, not so much movement, but in terms of pressure, think about pressure, traveling in, pressure, traveling in, pressure coming through. Don't worry too much about the set, especially if it's new, but just think about kind of constant expression of pressure out through the sword in this case. Yeah, it's going to come from the core of the body. It's this kind of impulse work, pressure release. There's a little bit of release in each movement, in each transition of the sword, just to mobilize it. So there's an actual kind of flow, the pressure through the arms, through the sword. Bringing the center in this case is trying to pack the center. You're trying to pack the movement into the ground. That's it. Yeah, very good. That's it. Good. Okay, we'll look at these sequences a little bit more. There's a little bit of detail to them, obviously, but we'll look at them a little bit more in the next classes. Okay. Great. どうもありがとうございます。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okay, dokie. Thank you very much. Very good.